There had been Sikh barristers previously, and they had been an inspiration to me. And in particular, Rabinder Singh, who was a circuit judge for 20 years and had been a member of Lincoln's Inn. He was a bencher, and he had qualified at the bar in the 1960s, so really quite early on in relative terms. So I had the inspiration of figures like that, but it's fair to say that there were still not many in practice in the late 1980s. And after my time, that more people have come to the profession. I'm glad to see that, and they sometimes tell me that I have been one of the inspirational figures for them, which I'm glad about, because I've always wanted to make a difference and to contribute, just as other people have helped me in the past. I'd never done tax work in my life. I'd never studied it. I had no intention, as far as I knew, of doing tax work at the bar. But the Inland Revenue liked the work that I had produced. And so a few months after that, they instructed me to be the second junior in a case which has become one of the most famous cases of recent decades, which is a case in the House of Lords called Pepper and Hart. Every law student has to study this case. And that was my first brief in the highest court in this country. And somebody said this to me the day I arrived to sit in court for the first time as a part-time judge, which is, remember, you are now the judge. You are in control. So it's your courtroom. You've got to carry authority in that courtroom. And I believe I've managed to do that. I think that authority doesn't mean shouting at people. In fact, if you have to shout at people, then probably you've lost control of your courtroom. So it's having a quiet gravitas, which means that people respect the solemnity of the occasion. And the other thing that's very important is to remember you are there to listen. And that's a big change from being an advocate. The advocate is there to speak and to persuade, but the judge is there primarily to listen. And it's very important, and I did discover this early on in my time on the bench, that you are no longer the advocate, and therefore you must not enter the arena. You don't take part in the dispute that's in front of you. You are, in our adversarial system of litigation, as a judge, you are there like a neutral referee to adjudicate on the dispute which will be presented by the parties to you. And the other very important role you have is to make sure that the trial is conducted fairly.